Okay, so the second movie analyzed is Crimson Tide, and it's a very interesting movie. I liked it a lot, and although there's a lot of philosophical issues, the main is about ethics, and the idea that the movie provides about ethics is related to the utilitarianism theory, and both the idea that the movie provides and the utilitarianism theory say that a morally right action is the one that brings the greatest happiness to the greatest number of people. So the most important scene that helped me to have this interpretation was when the captain and the XO received the EAM, which means emergency action message, about the nuclear missile launching, but the message was incomplete due to the previous attack. So the captain found this reason that the message was incomplete and enough reason to just ignore it. But the XO thought differently, and they started to disagree about what decision to make. So the ethical action that I analyzed in the paper is Mr. Hunter action, and he didn't support the launching because he wants backup, and he thinks it's a really tough decision to make without backup, and he wants to confirm the EAM before launching the missiles. And that's when he starts to disagree with the captain decision, and they basically make another war inside the submarine because of the disagreement of opinions. So basically, the XO thinks he's right because he needs backup before launching the missiles, and the captain thinks he's right because he needs to act quick. So two opinions cause this huge conflict inside the submarine, and they basically create another war. The possible objection for my interpretation, which takes the ethical egoism path, when we think, what if Mr. Hunter was just acting egoistically when he was trying to convince the other soldiers to follow his opinion? What if he just wants to feel good about his decision, and he's convincing other people for this reason specifically? He's not actually worried about other people's life. He's just worried about his conscience. So that would be egoistic, and that's a possible objection. But then we see throughout the movie there is a lot of scenes that prove that Mr. Hunter actually was concerned with other lives, and so he was not being egoistic. He was just trying to make the right decision, the morally right decision, which is to bring the greatest happiness, the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Something I didn't mention in my paper, but it's also very important, is the difference between the way Mr. Hunter treats the soldiers and the way the captain treats the soldiers. The captain is the one who is actually acting egoistically because he doesn't follow rules. He doesn't care about the way he treats the other soldiers. And there's a scene, I remember there is a scene when he wants Webs to launch the missile, and then Webs decides not to because he wants to follow Mr. Hunter. And then the captain gets a gun, and then he threats the WEPS soldier. And then that's why WEPS had to launch the missile. He didn't do it. He ended up not doing it, but we can tell that the captain wasn't acting morally right, and that Mr. Hunter was the one concerned about the greatest good. In the final scenes, we can see that Mr. Hunter was actually right, because the EAM that was incomplete actually was an order to not to launch the missiles. So he made the right decision when he decided to confirm the EAM. So his decision was actually the morally right decision.